Welcome to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The Alumni podcast where you get to hear the inspiring stories and transformation that DVC has had to offer its alumni. And now, on with the episode.
And we are live here at DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. And we actually have something a little bit different today. This is a very exciting program we have. So I'm going to start with Mary. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name is Mary Chemnitz, and I'm the founder of Cars Second Chance.
Great. So we're just going to have the chit chat. So tell me about what Cars Second Chance is. Just kind of give the 30,000 foot version of it. Like, what is it right now?
So Cars Second Chance is a car donation company that my husband and I founded in 2009. We owned an auto repair shop in Concord, and always with as many cars as we would see, there were cars who just couldn't be repaired anymore. And the owners would say to us, what do I do with it? Where does it go? So we would direct them to some of the other car donation places like Cars for Kids. And
with the bad jingle.
Yes, with the bad jingle.
And you guys don't have a bad jingle, do you?
We should create a jingle, you know?
Well, maybe we'll talk to you. Yeah, yeah. So anyways.
We were Rotarians back then and still are. And we said to each other, I wonder if we could start our own car donation company. Maybe the Rotary would let us use their 501c3, and all of us can donate our time to doing the administrative work. And that's what we did, and still doing the same thing here in 2026.
Yeah. So and you talked about the collaborative partnership, and so let's talk about you had this great story before we started. About kind of you were working in healthcare and driving super awesome cars. So of course all the guys geeked out on it. So tell us about the cars.
So since Dave worked for the was the automotive repair technician, I always got the pick of the crop with whatever cars came up for sale. So I drove every single Datsun Z that was ever built. I had them all, starting with the 240, all the way up to the 300 ZX, the final. I didn't have a 350, although it's crazy. I didn't have a 350, but my daughter-in-law bought one. So we still had one in the family. So I had every Z, and I have to tell you, I loved every one of them. They were all a stick shift. The last one had twin turbo. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely, and I'm sure all the guys geeked out on it.
Oh my God. I worked for a group of 30 radiologists, and I swear there was so much time spent in the parking lot with the hood up or taking them on test drives. Everybody loved that car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know as a semi-retired gearhead that it's like the minute. Oh my God, can I look at that? So
I've never driven a car since, and I've had some fast cars since, but never one that could handle or take the curves like that car.
Wow. Okay. So you're going along, you're driving all these cool cars, working in a radiology group, and your husband's working in a dealership. And then how did you end up in a garage? Or I should say, how did you end up with an automotive repair shop?
When Dave was working for the dealers, he saw a lot of business practices that he didn't care for. He saw customers being treated the wrong way, as far as he felt it. And he just decided that, one day I'm going to try to do this on my own. And it just happened. He was friends with a couple of guys that owned a tow truck business. And one day they made him an offer to rent 2 of their bays in the back of their tow truck company. And that's how he started, fixing cars in the back of a tow truck company. And he did that for 4 years. And our business clientele grew so large that we looked for another location. And it took us about a year to convince the owner of on Monument Boulevard to sell to us, but he did.
Jeez.
I was so happy to move there. And it was a real family affair. We worked with our son, who came to us with no technical knowledge at all. We sent him to school. He went to school for 2 years, working at the same time. He became a master technician. Our daughter-in-law came to work for us. She did the bookkeeping. And they were with us probably about 10 years, and then they left to start their own business.
Wow. Okay, what business did they start?
Well, good thing you're sitting down. So my husband and I and our son, Derek, we always loved the river, and we had boats, boat after boat after boat out on the Delta. And one of the things we bought him when he was very young was a jet ski.
Oh, yes.
So he opened a jet ski repair business.
Really? Okay.
And it is huge. He does really well there. They're out in Oakley. And his family works for him too.
Yeah. Now, stick around long enough, you'll end up in the family business, right?
Yes.
So, and they all enjoy it, I'm sure.
They love it. And it's a great business. It's amazing what he and his wife have done with it.
Well, and it's so I know this because it's like I knew when I drifted away from wrenching on cars, it's like I've always missed that, and so it's like I mean I was raising small kids and stuff like that, and it just wasn't going to work like that. But then as I've gotten older, it's like it's just I love going to car shows, especially ones
I do too.
There's the chili cook-off and rodeo, which I love because it's not like the really fancy, like the Good Guys car show. It's homegrown hot rods and beaters. And
that's what I like.
I love those.
It's my favorite.
And they have chili.
I don't really care for them when they've been modified so much.
Well, I like it if they do kind of goofy stuff. Like every so often there's a rat rod. I love that sort of thing. But it's the one that's just kind of a lot of patina, we'll call it,
Yeah.
And anyway, so let's get back on track. So
I have one more question for you.
What?
So you love automobiles.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we have an automotive classes here at DVC?
The classes, I don't know. I think because there's not a place to hold them right now, and there's not the interest. We had an automotive club here for about 2 years.
Really?
And I think I've still got to investigate and see if it's still in progress and stuff like that. But yeah, they're a very interesting group of students. They go to like car shows and stuff like that as a group, and they had a lot of them were doing their own modifications. And then because they were all on their way, aspiring engineers, they were like taking, and designing their own parts and stuff like that. So it was really way beyond the wrenching that I ever did.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So yeah, it's exciting, and I'm curious to see if wrenching on the old-timey cars, not the plug-and-play ones, but the old-timey cars is ever going to make a comeback.
It is. It absolutely is.
Really?
Now, yes. It's really hard to find a repair shop that repairs them anymore.
Yeah.
So the guys that do that kind of work, there's one that I know of in Concord. He's a friend of mine, West Coast Mufflers. He does it. And then I know Orinda Motors in Orinda does the old-time cars too.
Orinda Motors has been around for ever.
I know the owner very well. And then Dave and I, when we had our shop, we had every month, at least 1 or 2 old cars in there that we were their preferred repair shop, and we worked on them. But it's hard to find technicians too anymore.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing
this
that I
is
look
where
at.
you could come in.
Exactly. Well, the thing is I look at now old cars are considered anything pre 1990, which. Well, truth be told, that's 35 years ago. So it's
I know.
So anyway, so let's talk so you have this automotive shop now over on Monument, and you guys are getting cars in to repair. There's always a couple of cars that come in, and it's like it's going to cost more to repair the car than it's worth, and the owner says, "What?
I don't want it. Where can I donate it? Let's get rid of it. I'll bring you the title. Get rid of it for me." And then we would send it off to Polyclass or Cars for Kids. And then when we had our own 501c3 through our Rotary, we would send in. We developed a relationship with Copart Auto Auction, and Copart started taking the cars. But sometimes, if the repair wasn't too time intensive and expensive, we would actually fix them in our shop, and then we would sell them and give the money back to the Rotary.
Mm-hmm. So you started to kind of doing this thing as kind of like a little bit of side hustle, because I know Rotarians are notorious for wanting to give back. It's kind of what they do. It's kind of there was the Rotarian group up in, I think it was Oregon, started the whole the little hand thing for this was quite a few years ago. It was like 25 years ago. They were making these very simple hands for folks in Cambodia and Laos that had lost a hands.
That's still, if you were to come and visit my Rotary, La Marinda, and do a presentation as a thank you, we would dedicate one of those arm. There's a name for it.
I don't remember what it is.
Don't tell the Rotarians that I can't remember it. But we would actually donate one in your name. It's pretty cool.
Well, and I would be happy to come and present, because I think it'd be a lot of fun. Absolutely. To talk about this collaboration and stuff.
I know. We'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that down the road.
Yeah. And maybe we'll drag the
hold
students.
you to it.
Oh, absolutely. And I will show up. So
good.
So the whole thing is, and so back to, like, you'd started doing this thing with the Rotary, and tell us about kind of how that kind of took off, because I know it got to be bigger than because originally it was just a car here and there, right?
Yeah, it was just maybe a car or two a month. But honestly, when it started going, we were like flabbergasted that we got that much money for the vehicle over at Copart Auto Auction, or that we reconditioned it and then sold it, and were able to receive X amount of dollars. We were just thrilled with that, because Dave and I both love to give back. I mean, I've been volunteering since I was in my early 40s with my trade organization. And we always said when we joined the Rotary, I wish we had more money. We want to give more, because there's so many places where your money can go and make such a huge difference. So when we stumbled on this idea just in a conversation one day, we were just thrilled that it panned out. It took a bit of convincing to get the Rotarians to fly with us, though. Mm-hmm. I am telling you, it was not easy. In fact, the last word on it at a board meeting was, no, we're not car salesmen and we're not doing that. So my husband never takes no for an answer, as do I. And we walked away and we just continued to do it. So when the money started coming in, the Rotary didn't mind anymore.
Yeah.
So that's how the story went. But it just started to grow. Cars would come in and more money. And then it was kind of a bit shocking. Sometimes people just wanted to donate their car for the tax write-off. And we would get some pretty decent vehicles. I mean, I could tell you stories of cars that we've taken for donation. It's actually kind of shocking how much they worth. I think the biggest one, we had a motorhome that was worth that we sold for $125,000. But we've had other beautiful cars come in for donation. I think the largest dollar amount was probably $25,000.
Wow.
It's shocking. So I forgot where I was.
How
did we?
Yeah.
So then it wasn't growing fast enough to make my husband happy. He's unique, my husband. Anyway, he came up with the idea of, why don't we collaborate with partners? Let's have partners join us and we'll split the profits with them 50-50. So then we went out to the Rotary clubs, and in our district, there are actually 73 Rotary clubs, and we're partners with at least 40 of them, 40 Rotary clubs. And then we have probably around 60 other nonprofits that we partner with. So another little seed of an idea of partnerships. And again, very hard to get this idea approved by the Rotary, but we did it. But today, we have grossed at least $1.5 million.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So that little seed of an idea, talking in the front office of our business and saying, what if, just blew into something crazy.
Man. So let's talk about a little bit. So like, for instance, you some of it is you get this car or thing donated to you, and then you sell it. So of course you then can put the funds towards doing something else. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But some of it also is like you've been able to actually directly impact somebody's life by handing them the keys to a car. So tell us a story about that.
The first time I think the first car we ever did was the fire in Santa Rosa. What did they call that? The Tubbs fire? Tubbs fire, maybe?
I think so.
Anyway, I had a call one day, and I thought it was just a normal donor wanting to donate the car. And I said, sure, just go on our website, blah, blah, blah. He said, you don't understand. I've called probably 10 other donation companies. I want to donate my car, but I want it to go to a survivor of the Santa Rosa fire. And I'd never done anything like that, but being adventuresome, I said, why not? Why don't you bring it over to my business? And he did. And I have to tell you, this car, there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think it was about 7 or 8 years old. It wasn't very old. So I had a contact in Santa Rosa, and I called him, and he was very connected, and he connected me with a nonprofit in Santa Rosa that was helping the fire victims. And they sent a young girl and her baby to us for the car. She had been living in a trailer park. She ran that night when she saw the fire. She looked over her shoulder, she said, and she saw her home blow up in flames and her car blow up in flames. So she tried to get, she was kind of stalled. She found a place to live, but she needed a car. But she didn't have sufficient credit to buy a car. She said, it's crazy. She said, I could buy another trailer, but they wouldn't let me buy a car. So she came to our shop and picked it up, and it was just the most, I can barely talk about it now, but just giving that car to her was everything to me. So then, what was a year later, Paradise caught on fire.
Mm-hmm.
We had so many friends in Paradise. There's a Rotary in Paradise, one in Chico. And I remember at Thanksgiving, we were sitting down with the family, and I looked at Dave and I said, we have to figure this out, Dave. We have to do something for the people in Paradise. This is just so wrong. We have to help them somehow. What can we do? And then we came up with the idea, Cars for Paradise. So we started promoting that, and we had a friend who knew a friend who was on the local TV station, and he came over and he filmed us. And it just blew up then. People were donating. I think between Thanksgiving and February, I processed 72 cars. Our shop repaired 72 cars, safetied them. Our Rotarians either drove them up to Paradise, so actually they drove them to Chico, or the Rotarians who had lost their everything came down to Concord to pick up cars. And boy, was that an eye-opening experience, because they were all so beat up. And we would sit in our front office at the shop, and they would tell me the most terrifying stories. How it was, they thought they could get out, and then the wind just shifted and it was blowing in every direction, and they barely made it out with their lives. And many didn't. Many burned in their cars trying to get out. But I have to tell you, that was probably, of this whole program, was the most satisfying thing Dave and I have ever worked on, was refurbishing those cars.
So, well, and part of the reason that you can do this, so I guess I would call it really purposeful repurposing. So you have this opportunity. One, you just kind of figured out the nuts and bolts and like how to do this, and then you have these couple of opportunities where it's just like you get to make an amazingly direct impact in a person's life. I mean, I think about the poor woman who lost her house or her trailer in the fire. And it's just like, I mean, she's on foot and with a baby. And now it's like all of a sudden you've changed their life dramatically. And then we go to the Paradise Fire. I mean, there were so many people were pushed over from that. That was just,
It was terrifying.
Yeah. Part of the reason, though, is, and this is something I want to touch on a little bit, is, and you brought this up a couple times, is because you guys are all Rotarians, which, like I said, you have this notoriously bad habit of like giving back and being very driven to like make an impact. Is part of it is also you guys are you can take almost all of the funds from fixing a car, other than the cost to repair it and a little kind of general administrative stuff, and 80 to 90% of that sale of the car or the car itself goes to whoever that's going to benefit, as opposed to paying for New York City or something like that,
That's the beauty of this program, is that almost all of the administrative duties are handled by Rotarians. And you'd be surprised how much paperwork there is to handle a car donation. And if we're retailing it, we don't have a shop anymore, so I can't push it off on an employee. But Dave, he's an automotive technician, and he does a lot of repairs in our driveway, to my neighbor's chagrin, or parks. We've got a car parked for sale on the side street. But what's so beautiful is it's so satisfying to know that the only fees we really pay are a bookkeeper, a CPA, and just minor marketing costs, or if something breaks. We have a really cool system. We've got a really cool website with a portal that sends the donations to us. It's really beautifully set up, thanks to La Marinda Rotary in a large part for guiding us on making that happen. But it's just a beautiful thing that so much is going to the cause instead of paying fees.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's great, is especially because you're both small and yet you can make such a tremendous impact. And that's really important. So one of the ways, just to let people know, the reason that you and I are having this conversation, other than I'm having a good time, and apparently I'm just teaching other kids how to wrench on cars. Well, I got to get back into it myself. I kind of wrench on bicycles right now, but I got to get my fun going. We're actually starting at the beginning of a project we have here at DVC. Is we have project-based learning, which is one of the things that we've started here in the DVC Foundation. And Car's Second Chance is one of those folks. And so Anya and Elliot right now, or Anya Gupta and Elliot Simon, are currently looking at your stuff. I just sent it over to them. And so we're going to see about getting you guys freshened up, getting some more content created like this. This is actually going to be a ton of content. And then one of the things, like I said before we started, was that I want to be able to, maybe I would love to come to one of the Rotary meetings and talk to some of the people recorded
Would
And
you
we,
really?
oh God, yes.
Oh, that would be so
Oh, yes.
awesome.
And talk about it and get their story. And it's just like, because my thing is I believe, so I was told to have a podcast a year and a half ago. I hated the idea and I started doing it and I fall in love with it. And part of the reason is I think one of the most important things we do is we are connected as a species and as people by stories. And I remember when I was a chamber guy back in Pleasant Hill, there was a couple of guys. There was Jim Alkire and Ted Winslow. Ted Winslow started the recreation park district for Pleasant Hill out of his garage in 1951. Really? Yes. Jim Alkire was the second city manager that city of Pleasant Hill ever hired. And this was back in the, they hired him back in the 70s. So the previous contender had been there for 10 years. And Ted told pretty good stories. Jim was an absolute master storyteller. He just was amazing. And the thing is I always thought that we should capture those stories. And then what happened is it didn't happen and they've since passed on, And so one of the things, that's where I want to collect all these stories so that, Car's Second Chance gets a chance to live on beyond us, and it also is like gives people a chance to be inspired by what they can do, even if they're not a Rotarian.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because everybody gets a chance.
Exactly.
So where can people find out more about Car's Second Chance?
Well, if you go to our website at www.carssecondchance.org, it's beautifully laid out. It'll tell you the story, and you'll also have an opportunity to see who we partner with. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you want to donate a car and you want to share the proceeds with a favorite charity, take a look at our list of charities, or maybe you can talk to your charity about becoming partners with us so we can collaborate together.
That'll be fun. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mary, for coming in. I'm going to take you up on the Rotary thing. I'm actually very excited about the idea. And
these guys would love that.
Oh, and we're going to bring in the camera stuff and we're going to talk to everybody and make them tell all their stories. And then
let me know when you're ready, because I'll make sure we meet at the coolest place. It's the Veterans Hall in Lafayette.
I love that place.
There's off to the side, there's a room with a bar. Mm-hmm. That would be a perfect place while the meeting's going on for you to pull Rotarians and talk to them. Mm-hmm. What a brilliant idea.
Oh, I've been doing it again. It was one of those things I was hoodwinked into, and I've fallen in love with it because it's like you get all these great little clips and you put them all together and you end up with a really great piece of story. And then as you go through getting cars donated and sold, I'd love to find out more about when you do that.
Yes.
We'll get that information out and we'll go from there.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the Clayton Valley Rotary that's actually where Dave started this program. I'm trying to think if there's even anybody left who has a story. I'll have to look at their roster because we can visit them too.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to.
But La Marinda is a Friday morning at 7 a.m. Yeah. So it won't take up too much of your day.
Oh, no. Fridays are good.
And the breakfasts are wonderful.
Yes. Well, usually, breakfast clubs are usually very good. And then there's the lunch crowd, which is usually the rubber chicken crowd. And then there's the dinner one, which is usually the cocktail crowd. So
you have never seen anything like this club.
I think I actually have been once. And it was probably 2 decades ago. And my friend Jay Liston, I think, is part of the Lafayette.
Yeah. That's a good club too. Not as big as La Marinda. La Marinda is over 70 now, and they usually have between 40 and 50 people at a meeting. Okay. So it's a big, busy club with so many projects, it would blow your mind.
Well, and that's one of the things we'll get on camera. So thank you very much, Mary, for coming in. This is so exciting.
You.
Absolutely.
I'm tuning in to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next, the podcast for the DVC Alumni Association. You can contact us at alumni@dvc.edu with any comments, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our podcast.